Right, we should now be live. Bear with me, folks. Let me just put on some music for us. There we go. And I'm going to stick this into full screen. How do I do that again? There we go. Lovely. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the usual Sunday Triclaw stream, and a bit of a different stream today, because on Wednesday I've actually had to write a sort of a script out of this stream so I don't forget anything. So the point of today's stream is to kind of go over some things that occurred as a result of the video I made on, was it Wednesday? Thursday, I think it was. Hello, Lycaon and Jesse. And as you can see by this image we have here, it is Triclaw's most disliked video that we have made ever, actually. The video I made on Thursday, it has been the most disliked of any video we have ever done. I'm going to be very, very open and honest about that. But one of the problems is that I think having looked at some of the comment sections, I think there are some misconceptions, and I think people have misunderstood what I was kind of getting at in the video about the DLC. So I thought, instead of doing yet another video to talk about that, I thought let's look as a whole, let's look at the DLC all together. Let's chat about it, discuss it, and as a group, we can all, discuss this DLC. So, I thought what we'll start with is we'll go through the trailer first, and then we'll go through the dinosaurs, because that's the bit that the trailer deals with, and then we'll just go through the rest bit by bit. I do want to start by just clarifying, I never actually said that this DLC was bad. You know, I never said that it was a bad, objectively a bad DLC. What I do think is, I don't think this particular DLC improves the game, which is something I'll talk about after we go through everything. But you know, I'm in everything I say following now. Yeah, I'm not attacking anyone's opinion on the DLC. If you're hyped for this, be hyped. You know, if this is your favorite species, you know, that's great. All new content is good in a generic good way, and I'm not attacking anybody for that opinion. This is just my view of it. So, let's go through then. So the first thing we see in the trailer... Oh dear. Let's not run the sound on the trailer. I don't think I can actually change that. So we'll just go through the trailer bit by bit. So we got the Concavinator, first of all. With its lovely humps and quills on the back of the head. I think the screenshot shows the Concavinator better. So we got the high resolution. Let me zoom in a bit. The high resolution screenshot for it. I think the Concavinator is the one species that I am, like, out of all of the four in this DLC, the Concavinator is the one I think is most interesting, strictly from a visual perspective, because of the humps. It's a weird dinosaur. It fulfills that sort of, like, weirdness factor with the two humps. And looking at the one, let me just remove that for now. Looking at the Concavinator in the background and the way that the pattern and the skin color is working, it's clear that the pattern, changing the pattern color is going to change the nose marking, and it looks like the hump marking too. So we can pretty much go off the color on the nose and this black striping up the hump is the pattern aspect of the skin coloration system. And I think the skin is pretty decent. The animal overall, I think, is reasonably decent enough. But I do, from a personal perspective, I do prefer LA Studios'. This is LA Studios' modded Concavenator. I do prefer it for a few different reasons. I think the quills on the head are better on the LA Studios design to the Frontier one. Frontier's ones, the quills kind of look pretty thick, I have to say. they look a lot more like solid wires coming out of its head. Whereas LA Studios they're a bit thinner. And I also think the hump... I'm clicking on LA Studios picture. There we go. I also think the hump is better defined on the LA Studios model. You can see here that their hump sort of is a bit jagged at the top, and then it comes down jagged, and then there's jagged, really jagged. There's like a point on the rear hump there. I think LA Studios' hump, where it's smooth, and then it comes down smoothly, and then it comes up smoothly, and goes down again smoothly. I just think from an aesthetic perspective, it looks better. But, again, out of all of the animals that this DLC is going to have, it's definitely the one I'm most looking forward to having. And I agree with Jesse. I think out of all of the animals we're getting in this pack, this is the one that appeals most to people who can't mod, because it's a really popular species. And then next up in the trailer came the Utahraptor, and it was introduced doing this run animation. We'll talk about this run animation in a minute, because I think it's an important animation to look at. But that's all of the Utahraptor that we got. Now, the Utahraptor is the one species where my opinion on it seems to have gotten the most amount of hate from the community. People are really, really hyped for the Utahraptor, and I can see why, because it is... Let's go down to the screenshot. It is the first proper attempt Frontier has made to make a accurate raptorid dinosaur. Question, what is your least favorite DLC or favorite DLC of Jurassic World Evolution 2 so far? I think my favorite is the aquatic species pack we had, 3 or so months ago. My least favorite... My least favorite is actually the 2 expansions. Because in my opinion, that should have been 1 expansion, and some of it should have been free. But that's a completely different sort of discussion. Yeah, so this is the first attempt Frontier have made to make a properly nice looking raptorid dinosaur, and I it looks really good. I do think, in some respects, it is too similar to the Pyroraptor, though. This is not an especially good image of the Pyroraptor. But the way the tail fluke feathers work, the way that the arm feathers work, where you have one line of feathers and then a second line underneath, it's identical. The way that you have this sort of feather jaw line on the head, it's pretty identical. The feathers on the skull, it's actually difficult to see with the Pyroraptor model, but there are actually 2 layers of feathers, and it's the same for the Utahraptor. Obviously, the Utahraptor doesn't have the layered feathers along the back like the Pyroraptor does, it's just all fuzzy all over, body-wise. And I think you could say that if you're going to make accurate raptors, they're all going to, in some similarity... Okay, Barger? That language not appropriate for the discussion we're having. Like, check the pin message, please. Let's be respectful. Swearing at each other, not required. Yeah. So as I was saying, if you are going to have a accurate raptor, and you have more than one raptor, they're obviously all going to have some similarities, because all raptors are going to have the same sort of feathers, etc. And I do accept the head is completely different on the Utahraptor model, and the head actually looks so much better. My number one problem with the Pyroraptor design is the head. The head is ugly and completely misshapen. So I agree that Utahraptor as a whole is a better raptor than the Pyroraptor in terms of a paleontologically accurate raptor. Completely agree there. Looking at the run in the trailer and comparing it to the run animation of the Pyroraptor in the species viewer, it's a pretty similar run, which makes me worried that the Utahraptor is going to have the same animation set as the Utahraptor. I can't say for certain it's going to, because we obviously don't have the other we haven't seen the other animations yet, so we can't for a sure fact say that the Pyroraptor is going to use the same animations. But if they are the same animations, that would be disappointing. I would like the Utahraptor to have different animations, and I don't think that's wrong to want. Surely it's better to have unique animations for each species. I think that's something fair to ask for. I don't see the similarities as a problem. Basically, the Utahraptor's design is more like what the Pyroraptor should have been. Exactly, Jared. That's what I mean by saying the inherent problem is any raptorid that's accurate is going to look kind of similar. We probably should have just had Utahraptor in Jurassic World Dominion, because the Pyroraptor actually in Jurassic World Dominion is nothing like the fossil evidence anyway, so they should have just used Utahraptor. But again, that's a different conversation for another day. I would say I really like this skin, this sort of barn owl-esque, eagle-esque sort of skin for the Utahraptor. If all of the skins for the Utahraptor kind of take their inspiration from birds of prey and owls and that sort of thing, I think the Utahraptor might actually have better skins than the Pyroraptor. However, this leads in sort of a comparison of the Pyroraptor to the Utahraptor, and since the Tarbosaurus is next, I think this leads very easily onto something I want to explain, which is what I mean by interesting from a dinosaur perspective, because I use that word quite a lot in my streams. I say one dinosaur is not interesting compared to another. And I said it in my video on Thursday that I thought Tarbosaurus and Utahraptor were not interesting. Now, I think it's important for me to clarify what I mean actually by interesting. What I mean by interesting, and the best way I could describe this, is the animal has to bring in something that is different to anything else we already have. So, is it a new group of dinosaurs? Is it adding to an underrepresented group of animals? Does it have a unique animation set? Does it make sense for it to have a unique animation set? Is it bringing a new form of animal? Is it not a dinosaur but actually an archosaur or a mammal-like reptile or whatever? That, and does the animal have visually distinctive elements? Does it have sails? Does it have feathers? Does it have quills? Does it have, in the case of Concavenator, a very weird body shape? And does it have defenses like plates or spikes or club tails, that sort of thing? That's what I mean by interesting, because those are the dinosaurs, those are the animals that stand out. You know, Fletcher, the main problem with that is eventually there is not really going to be anything left if they use that and continue the games for about 3 to 5 more years. Well, the problem with that bargain is that Jurassic World Evolution 2 is not going to be developed for 3 to 5 years. And in the case of Utahraptor, for me, it is one, in this particular DLC, it is one of 2 examples of dinosaurs that are not unique enough compared to other dinosaurs we already have. The other one being Tarbosaurus, which we'll discuss in a minute. The Utahraptor is another raptor, and think about how many raptors we already have in the game. We have Velociraptor, Deinonychus, we have Oviraptor, we have Pyroraptor, we have Atrociraptor. We have many representatives of the raptor family. True, the Utahraptor is going to represent a very paleontologically accurate example of a raptor. But does that make it interesting enough? To me, it doesn't. I know to a lot of other people, the fact that it is going to be paleontologically accurate really does matter. But I think when you're building the park and you're zoomed out of the park and you're building it, does the accuracy of it matter? I don't know. These are not things I'm saying are right or wrong. These are things I'm hypothesizing here. Like, is there a more interesting carnivore we could have had than Utahraptor? I don't know. Let's move on to the other one in this situation, which is the Tarbosaurus. I think Tarbosaurus is the one where people's opinions are less against me, because I think the Tarbosaurus has a lot of... I think Tarbosaurus has a lot of haters. I'm just going to put it like that. I'm going to have a slurp of tea and just catch up on chat. I trade it out for Inostrandzevia. Exactly, Kairu? Sorry, I'm probably pronouncing you wrong. I would instantly... I would transfer any of these these DLC animals out for a Gorgonopsid. Because a Gorgonopsid brings a completely new type of animal, completely new animation sets, completely new rigging. So actually, Inostrandzevia would not only benefit the game, but would benefit the people who mod the game as well. It would be an amazing new animal to have. I actually really like the Tarbosaurus design, not as a dinosaur design, but because it makes sense in universe as a very close Tyrannosaur cousin. Okay. In my opinion, something that they could have done with the Utah to make it interesting was make it just an Allosaur-sized raptor, because this is Jurassic World, and when should it be accurate? I mean, yeah, the size is the other thing. It's difficult to tell the size of the Utahraptor from these screenshots. The only way I've been able to go on is there is one particular shot here. So you can see these bushy sort of fronds. It's smaller than these bushy sort of fronds, and actually if you create those in the game, they're not that tall. So I actually think that Utahraptor has also been de-sized for this particular DLC. I think it's smaller than it should be, but again, that's almost impossible to tell until we actually get the animal in the game. But it does, I think it does look too small in all of the footage and the screenshot we've had. We'll find out, won't we, next week? They should have replaced Utahraptor with Ostroraptor to get a small Piscivore. Perhaps. Fletcher, I feel like the Tarbosaurus was just thrown in this pack based on the community's wants. Yeah, we'll talk about this being a pack aimed at the community towards the end. And we'll talk about Gigantoraptor in a minute as well, Kairu. So, Tarbosaurus. So, Tarbosaurus is the one that I think a lot of people don't like because it's the Camp Cretaceous Tarbosaurus. And this is linked into what I'm saying about it not being an interesting animal. Because you can really see, here is literally the Camp Cretaceous Tarbosaurus, the Tarbo with the Camp Cretaceous skin. Here is literally our in-game T-Rex. If I try and get them matched in size. So you can see the crests above the eyes are slightly smoothed. It has a row of spikes on the head and down the back, along to the tail. And it's tubby, it's obese. They've made it fat. But apart from that, it is inherently no real different to a T-Rex. And that makes sense. Tarbosaurus is an Asian T-Rex, slightly lighter in build, but it is just a T-Rex. And the problem is, going with the Camp Cretaceous Tarbosaurus, it's even more just another T-Rex. We have many large theropods already in the game. We have T-Rex. We have Indominus Rex. We have Spinosaurus, Suchomimus, Acrocanthosaurus, Carcharodontosaurus. I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, Giganotosaurus. And some of those have additional variants as well. So I feel like we have a lot of large theropods already in the game. And I don't think people tend to make like large theropod parks. I feel like a lot of park builders, we tend to have our preferred animals we like. Like, if I'm after a large theropod for my park, I probably would go with Acrocanthosaurus. I don't think people tend to put many types of large theropods in the parks, simply because there are so many animals in the game already. We kind of use the theropods as big ticket dinosaurs, don't we? We tend to put one in to be like that big ticket dinosaur. If they hadn't gone with Tarbosaurus, and there are some other types of large theropod they could have gone for, they could have made it look less like a T-Rex. Like, there are even other Tyrannosaurids they could have used. And I kind of feel like they could have made it like fully feathered, and we would have had our only fully feathered large theropod, and that would have been interesting to my definition of what interesting means. Yeah, Oxalia would be another cool large theropod to have. I'd trade Tarbosaurus for Dracovenator. It would be a more accurate alternative to Dilophosaurus. True. So yeah, I just think that by going with the Camp Cretaceous Tarbo, they've sort of set themselves up to end up with just another T-Rex. Also, the fact that it's fat. What is Frontier's obsession with that? They did it to Euoplocephalus and Sinoceratops. Like, I don't... It I know it's probably for the cute factor, but I kind of think that if a Tarbosaurus was really this tubby, it's probably definitely overweight. Like, sarcastically, one of the other moderators of Evo's YouTube, he's already nicknamed it the Tubby T-Rex, and that's exactly what everyone else is calling it. It's the Tubby T-Rex. Chonk can be good. I agree. 42 ostriches. Sometimes chonk is cool and nice to have, but I mean, this thing looks like it could barely chase after the things that it would be eating. This tubby T-Rex definitely fits in with Mr. Horner's interpretation that T-Rex was nothing but a scavenger, perhaps. Did I literally pop into the stream just as you referred to sarcastically as a he again? God damn. I think you did, Evie. Yes, sarcastically as a she. I keep mucking that up. Reminds me of the T-Rex from Valley of the T-Rex. It does actually remind me of some of the T-Rex designs from The Land Before Time, actually, where they made it really kind of obese and fat. It reminds me of that. But yeah, the tubby Tarbo, I think it's just too similar to a T-Rex. Hopefully, I mean, the one thing that could save the Tarbo, and again, I'm trying to be not entirely negative, I am trying to show positivity here. If the skins are really good, that will definitely save it, because I think one of T-Rex's weaknesses is that it has some very poor skins. I think the colours and the patterns on the T-Rex are a bit lackluster. So if the Tarbo's skins and patterns are really good, that might save it. We will have to wait and see, won't we? Bye-bye, Evo. Looks like the kind of a pink version of a plated sharp tooth. Yeah, exactly. But away from the Tarbo, so I think it's safe to say that my opinion on the Tarbo is not particularly controversial. I think a lot of us could have done without it. And then obviously the last one is this Gigantoraptor, and I kind of... The Gigantoraptor feels a bit strange for me to have in this pack. It feels like Frontier looked at the community and was like, okay, the community really wants Concavenator, and the Camp Cretaceous community really wants Tarbosaurus, and the community really wants to have Utahraptor. Yes, I'm sorry, sarcastically, I did it again, I apologize. But anyway, as I was saying, like, so Frontier looked at the community and was like, they want these 3 dinosaurs, and then they realized that there wasn't a 4th one that kind of would fit in with their Cretaceous carnivore idea, so they put Gigantoraptor in here just because they had to fill the gap with something. Again, like the Concavenator, I think Gigantoraptor is the other one I am really looking forward to having, because it's basically Oviraptor, but it's Allosaurus sized. It's huge. I think the feathers work nice. I would say... I mean, I need to zoom in here, actually, and have a look at that one in the back. I hope that the pattern color doesn't just change the feathers, like the end of the feathers color, because I actually kind of think this looks a little bland. The colors on the arm feather ends and the plume ends, that's fine, but I think it looks a little bland. It would have been nice to have some patterning on the body as well. I mean, it might change the eye color as well, because it looks like that's sort of a dominantly black, but then this one has like a black with white as well. So maybe there's some eye color going on here as well, because that one in the back, it looks, maybe not. It's difficult to tell. With all these things, it's very difficult to tell until we get our hands on the actual product. But I do think this may be a little bland in terms of coloration and patterning. Frontier has dropped the ball with many of its skins and patterns with its dinosaurs, specifically official Jurassic World dinosaurs, although they salvaged Pyroraptor from Dominion's bad design and pattern. I agree with you there, Jared. In fact, I do need to make that video at some point in the future, which is the worst skins and patterns in the game. It's actually why I don't like the Allosaurus. Allosaurus has some really bad skins, and it's why I barely use it. And it's important. Skins are important. Skins can make or break a dinosaur, I think. Like, Carcharodontosaurus from Jurassic Park Operation Genesis was only liked because it had its emo goth skin coloration that it had. That's the only reason people liked it. Yes, and as Frogstridge reminds, so Gigantoraptor has been confirmed. I've seen a screenshot somewhere that it is going to be omnivorous, which is good. It's another, you know, I think it's like going to be the biggest omnivorous dinosaur that we have. So that's again a different. It's going to make it interesting to have in the parks. Personally, I still think that, you know, Struthiomimus and Archaeornithomimus, I kind of think they should be omnivores because paleontologically they are. And I think it's weird that they haven't become omnivorous. But it's nice to see more omnivorous animals coming to the game. Theri has body patterns and looks awful. I always just use the movie skin. I think Theri looks amazing with its body patterns, mini paleontologist. Although the movie skin is good. I do like the movie skin a lot. Like I said earlier, Gigantoraptor should have been in in an omnivore pack. I'd replace it with a pseudo-Sushian like Phaseolsuchus or Postosuchus. Yeah, but then of course they would lose that sort of carnivore, Cretaceous carnivore idea for this particular pack. Bring back emo car. That is a hashtag I can get behind, mini paleontologist. 100% agreed with the Allosaurus patterns. They're like sloppy spray paint streaks. Yeah, and what's with that neon green and bright pink one? It makes it look like it has a disease. I actually call it the disease skin. In my big spreadsheet of dinosaur skins, it's just the disease skin. And Carcharodontosaurus has a few like that too. Maylife says, are those new rocks? So that's something I was going to actually ask you guys. Do you think... I'm not sure on this one. Let me get a pen out. Hang on. Where's a pen? There. So oh, I actually have to click on the bit. Oh, there we go. So this one, I think that one is just the normal big rock, but this one is this all one rock? Because if that's all one rock, then that would be a different shape. Are you sure they're the in-game Alpine? Because I've not seen a rock with that shape in the Alpine ones, where it's like lifted at one end. They're the Biosyn rocks. Oh, maybe they are, because I don't play on the Biosyn map very often. I think that's two rocks overlapping. You think that that's one rock there, and then there's a rock behind it. That's possible. It could be. It's difficult to tell because we don't have any shadowing going on here. It is a weird shape. So maybe it's new, maybe it's not, and I just don't recognize these rocks enough. I mean, and the rest of the image, I mean, this rock just looks normal. This thing at the back here, this is just a viewing gallery that's switched to its not a viewing gallery. It's the log viewing gallery, isn't it? Because earlier on today, I was looking at it for ages, and I'm like, is that a new building in the background? Because I thought this was water, a water reflection of something else, and it's only when I was looking at other buildings we have in the game, and I was like, oh, that's just the viewing log, isn't it? I was led astray by the reflections. So a bit of an idiotic thing to do. But yeah, Gigantoraptor, another species I think is a lot more interesting than the Tarbo and the Utah. And along with Concavenator, probably one of the two I'm most looking forward to have in the game. Wow, there's a lot of viewers today. Welcome everyone to the stream who is new as well. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and do all the usual YouTube stuff. Fletcher, apparently the hitboxes are being removed in the update. Yeah, the hitbox thing we'll talk about in a sec, because we are getting up to that section. But let's just wrap up the three species, the species bit that we're going to have here. As Dino Army said earlier, I think this is a dinosaur pack that is popularity driven. Frontier want to make money, that's fine, they're a business. This is definitely very much going to make them money. 3 of these species are species that the community has absolutely begged for ages. So they're going to make a lot of money. My only sort of, balancing that to the other side, I don't necessarily think that what is popular is always necessarily what is good. And while these are very popular species, some of them, like the Tarbo, are not necessarily that different to what we already have. So, popular, yes. Adding something to the game that we don't already have, not necessarily. And I don't think that this is going to bring people back to the game who have kind of left it. This is something that I've been thinking a lot lately. The amount of people who are playing Jurassic World Evolution 2 has dipped quite low this year. Is this DLC pack going to boost the people playing the game for a long period of time? I don't think it is. But let's move on to looking at oh, also the other thing I just wanted to point out here. Another Cretaceous period pack. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm kind of tired of the Cretaceous period getting all the look. I actually went back and had a look at all of the DLCs we've had. This will be the 4th DLC with only Cretaceous period animals that we have had. And it's like that there are other time periods with dinosaurs in, there are Triassic period animals. There are many, many more types of Jurassic period animals that are interesting and different. And even if you don't want it to be one of those time periods, what about more Permian period animals? We only have the Dimetrodon. What about the Gorgonopsids and the Adaphosauриds? And looking at it from the other side, if you've got feather, if you're figuring out feathers, why not terror birds? I feel like it's just sticking to Cretaceous period animals. It's kind of boring. That was one of my biggest criticisms of prehistoric Planet. Yes, Prehistoric Planet when it came out for season 2. Just looking at the Cretaceous period again. Come on, give us some other time periods. Give the other animals some love. I think it's kind of criminal that we don't have a Triassic period pack for Jurassic World Evolution 2, especially because there's quite a few Triassic period animals that we would still love to have. So yeah, I'm wholeheartedly tired of Cretaceous period animals. I think it shows a lack of Frontier's imagination. So next DLC pack, if they do any more DLC packs, I would love it to be a different time period. And I think that's kind of fair to say as well. I don't think it's unfair to say I'm kind of bored of Cretaceous period animals. Out of all of the species on the current roster, the one that felt the most out of left field is the dunk. Exactly. That's why I love the aquatic animal pack, because every single one of those animals felt like it was interesting. Every single one of those animals felt like it added something new to the game. And even though the dunk is not an accurate depiction, I don't care. I think the goldfish dunk looks stupid. I like the shark dunk. That's just my opinion. Super unrealistic, but I would love a Cenozoic pack with Smilodon, woolly mammoth, terror bird, and either a woolly rhino or a Paraceratherium. I mean, okay, the big problem with the Cenozoic pack, I'm going to tackle this now, because I probably will do a video on it in the future. Fur. No other animal in this engine has fur. And I think it's safe to say, I mean, if we go back and look at if we look at the Pyroraptor, I think it's safe to say that we can claim that they're definitely getting better with feathers. The feathers on Pyroraptor were very basic, very, I would say, like a first attempt. The feathers on the Utahraptor, so much better. You can almost tell the individual strands here and the colorations and everything. So the Pyroraptor and the Utahraptor shows there's definitely some development in terms of how they're doing feathers. But to then go on to doing fur, I just don't think the engine is built for that, maybe. I don't know, I think it would be difficult. But there's definitely no reason why we couldn't have a terror bird. And if you're going to have a terror bird, then maybe you could do a non-dinosaur animal pack, and then you could do like Postosuchus, and Gorgonopsid, and orthocones, or primitive birds. Like, there's a lot that you could get out of doing a non-dinosaur pack. And there's quite a few species, like orthocones, like Gorgonopsids, like terror birds, that I think the species also, that the community also would pay for. So, you know, I think Frontier need to be a little more imaginative, get away from their focus on the Cretaceous period, get away from their focus on just dinosaurs, and maybe look at a different time period or something a bit more interesting. Yeah, Plateosaurus is another one of those big Triassic period animals that I think is a crime that we just don't have yet. A Paleozoic themed pack, a good way to get animals like Meganeura, Gorgonopsids, Edaphosaurus, and Eurypterids. Exactly. If you chop the tail, claws, and crest off the Gigantoraptor, you have a terror bird. Yeah, you kind of do. And in fact, I probably wouldn't be surprised if modders use the Gigantoraptor as a base to make terror birds with. We'll have to wait and see. I'm just going to have another slurp of tea. Right, let's move on to the next element, which is the variants. Now, this is something that Hello, Grumpy Goose. Is there much difference between fur and in-game downy feathers? Maybe not. From a rendering perspective, I don't know enough about rendering and stuff. I'm sure there probably are differences. But I don't know. I just think that I'm just hypothesizing that maybe the fur aspect is what's holding it back, but I don't know. So the variants. It's about time, frankly, and this is another part of the free update, which I think is very good. So, you know, again, I never said that this update and DLC was bad. So this is like a really important part that's good about this update, is adding variants to those 5 animals. On a side note, do you see support on the game lasting another 2 years? No, I don't. I'll go into why towards the end, Uncooked, or when we move on a bit. So if you stay around, you'll hear why. So, yeah, this is something I've been asking for a long time. I think I first asked for it maybe back in my CEO video, or even I think at the beginning of the year with my 5 things that Jurassic World Evolution 2 should do with this year. Is add the variants of animals as model variants, so we can change the colors on them. Now, we've only seen 5 screenshots, and I think the Allo and the Pteranodon are the ones that show up what they're doing, you know, the variants the best. I am very glad that we're getting the Brachiosaurus as one that we can do, because I love the Jurassic Park 3 Brachiosaurus model. So I'm really glad of that one. Very glad of the Allosaurus one, because the Allosaurus is... let's just layer this send to back. There we go. And send back. So, I hate the Dominion Allosaurus model. I cannot stand that 2022 skin for it. The fact that we can have color variation now might save it for me. And you could probably use that model of the Allosaurus as maybe Saurophaganax. If you're using some imagination in the game, you could say this is a Saurophaganax, and the other Allosaurus is Allosaurus. I have to say, it looks really good. I'm guessing this is probably Sonoran Desert, because all Sonoran Desert skins tend to be red or orange. So this is probably either Sonoran Desert or possibly Mangrove Forest, possibly. But I think it looks really good in this sort of burnt orange color. So definitely this might save the Allosaurus. And let's just bring this forward. Bring forward, there we go. And this is the Pteranodon. And again, I have to say this, I really love this color scheme that they have going on here for it. This light tan with the black striping and the black spots. I think it looks really, really good. Even though I don't like the fact that we don't have a proper Pteranodon with a proper crest. I feel like the version of Pteranodon we had from the first game was better, but this is definitely better than what we had in the game to start with. This is definitely an improvement, and I think being able to change those variation colors is going to really help bring these animals some new life. I'm not too bothered about the Dimorphodon. Honestly, I think Triceratops 1993 could do with some different colors. I wouldn't have done Dimorphodon. And Stegosaurus 1997, I don't use that Stegosaurus 1997 one that often because I don't like their model for Stegosaurus. For me, like, why have Stegosaurus when you could have Woohosaurus, which has far better skins. But perhaps when we get our hands to see how the patterns and variants work on Stegosaurus, it might actually be a really good improvement. We, again, have to wait and see. But on the face of it, these variants, they look good. Really good part to have in the free update. So, no problems here from me. Looks like a s'more. I've never had a s'more, so I don't know, Glitzbog. I'll take your word for it. But yeah, the variants might actually make me use Pteranodon, Jesse. I do agree. Yes, why didn't Frontier give us 1993 Triceratops skin variants? Same with 2001 Ankylosaurus too. Yeah, I mean, I think the Triceratops, 1993 Triceratops, looked so much better in the first game, just simply because of those variants. I loved that old, like the sort of green skin that the first game had for the Triceratops. It looked really good, I think. Let's move on to the next thing that they discussed in the forum post. So the pre-built layouts. So basically what we're going to have now is we could have had a Triassic pack instead of the one we got. I agree, Burger. What is it with Frontier shafting cannon ceratopsids? I think Frontier shafts ceratopsids and ankylosaurids in general. Mini paleontologists. But we'll get on to that in another video. So, one of the other things that the free update is going to have is that we're going to now have pre-built layouts where basically the campaign and chaos theory maps are going to come with the buildings and the paving that they have from basically the start of the missions. And I don't see the point. I'm not really sure what the point is. So you can build in sandbox mode, where you're supposed to build anything you want. You're going to be able to build on a map where they've already put stuff down for you. I'm not really sure I understand the thinking. Because isn't the whole point of building in sandbox mode the idea of building yourself? And if you wanted to build with stuff on the maps, you'd just play the campaign again, wouldn't you? Or the chaos theory mode again. Like, what is the point of this? I'm asking that. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm asking it as a genuine question. Does anybody want, or if you're someone who wants this, can you explain why? Feels like training wheels for those who don't know how to build a park from scratch. Yeah, but isn't that what the campaign and chaos theory are for, Jared? Like, isn't the point of playing campaign mode, like, so you learn how to build the parks and you learn the game mechanics, and then you take that away to the sandbox maps and you build the park that you want to build? I have seen some people on Reddit asking for the San Diego one because they just can't get that sort of hexagonal like path structure correct. But again, and I'm sorry to sound a bit like a gatekeeper here, but that sounds a bit like a skill issue. Like, the path tool is not that difficult to use. Me and Evo have done videos literally showing people how to do something similar to the San Diego pre-build. And yeah, and again, Mr. Shroom, like the San Diego version it has the hexagonal path on the standard map. The only thing that the mission adds is like a couple of broken buildings around it. Like, what the hell is the point? You're adding that as a map variation? Like, what the fuck? So yeah, I don't see the point of this. Like, just give us a new map. Take all the time you spent coding this and give us a new map. How about giving us a version of the Sierra Nevada map that isn't covered in snow? Like, the reason I don't use the Sierra Nevada map is that the snow ruins all of the texturing and stuff that you can do. That's why I don't use it. I would like a version without the snow on. Yeah, or just port the Jurassic World Evolution 1 maps. Exactly. I've been saying that for ages. Like, give us the Jurassic World Evolution 1 maps updated for this game. I miss Isla Tacaño. I miss Isla Pena. I miss the old Isla Sorna so badly. Like, if they literally did a DLC where we're going to put all of the original game maps remade for the second game in a DLC and sell it, I would buy that in a shot. I would be so much happier to buy the Jurassic World Evolution 1 maps in a DLC than I am to buy a Tubby T-Rex in a DLC. So, you know, I wish they could give us the entire maps, no boundaries. Well, the problem with that Untamable King is the consoles. And also the fact the game can barely run properly as it is. Give people the whole map and the game would just not work. I thought everyone was tired of Tropical. Well, Jacob, like, they could remake the maps, but give each of them, like, their own unique biome. Like, make Isla Pena or Isla Sorna, like, Taiga maps. Like, they don't have to have the exact same biome. Like, what if you picked a Jurassic World Evolution 1 map, you could decide what biome that map was going to be represented as, whether it be Taiga or Alpine or Desert or anything else. Like, have a toggle that you could select what biome you made that map look like. That is something I would pay for, frankly. And it would add quite a lot of replayability, I think, to the game as well. Just a thought. Fletcher, the top 3 animals I hoped we would never see in this game are the Cretaceous Tarbo, Microstratus, and any of the hybrids. Yeah, I think Tarbo is one of those I wasn't hoping that would come to the game. Yes, a Sierra Nevada map without snow. Yeah, see? People want these things as well. It's not just tubby dinosaurs that they want. Would have preferred literally any new attraction. Yep, instead of a pre-build. Yeah, again. Like, how much time did they put into doing this pre-build thing? And it's not gonna really add anything to the game. So, you know, if I was to label anything as bad from this free update, this is bad. In my opinion. Changes to capture mode. Let's move on. So we're now going to be able to change the time of day and the weather in capture mode. Changing the time of day, most people do that from the main menu. I suppose it's nice to have on the capture menu so you don't have to go into the game menu and do it. So I suppose that's a quality of life thing that makes it just quicker. The ability to change the weather, though, this is one that's really interesting. I'm hoping we're going to be able to add any weather into that. So, can we have storms or snow on the desert maps, for example? Could we make it snow on any map? I'm hoping we can. I'm hoping that the weather effect is just something it can apply to any of them. But I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think the weather that we get is going to be limited to the map biome that we are using. So I don't think we're going to be able to select any weather. But it's still good that we can change the weather in capture mode. If only for taking screenshots, because us content creators, I'm sure Evo will probably agree. Like, the taking screenshots and getting images for thumbnails, it's like the most annoying part of doing YouTube is like making a nice looking thumbnail and getting a nice picture for the front. So the ability to add whatever weather we like to a good image is going to really help the content creators. I think it's going to help the content creators more than the normal player base, I should think. But yeah, it's a nice quality of life thing to have. And then the other things they're adding, apart from the decorations, which I'm going to do in a minute. You can see I've already got the picture. I haven't forgotten the decorations, don't worry. So the additional features, most of these I'm not that interested in. The species unlock shuffling to randomize the order in which species can be unlocked on the tech tree for both custom challenge and sandbox mode. I think most people play without research on. So is that really gonna be like... Is that really necessary? I don't really know. Pack chase behavior, which allows selected carnivorous dinosaurs to chase alongside a same species hunter as they go after their prey. Like, why don't they do that already? I thought we had that through the pack hunting. Is that not just pack hunting? Like... The pack chase behavior seems interesting, so I want to see 2 Gigas bring down a Dread. Well... Can Gigas even take down a Dread? I thought Dread can't... I thought Dreadnoughtus couldn't be killed by anything apart from an Indo. Again, I don't know, because I don't do like battle royales and stuff, so I don't do hunting, so I have no idea. But at least we'd be able to nudge San Diego to chaparral Mediterranean biome that it actually is, not desert. Yeah, this is something I've always wondered about San Diego, Jared. Like, because if you look at the concept image for San Diego's Jurassic Park, like, there's loads of forest. I'm like, I don't see a desert in that concept image. So, is San Diego like a desert, or is it not? All large theropods can bring down any sauropod. Oh, okay, I didn't know. Well, I suppose that'll be interesting to see. Again, the pack chase behavior, it's not something I care about. So I neither dislike it or like it. It's just another feature from the update that doesn't really matter to me. The automated hatcheries thing, I know a lot of people are really happy about this because it brings in the capability to have a Site B, where the hatcheries will automatically repopulate the area based on the target population for that species. So in theory, you could just leave them to pop out replacement dinosaurs for ones that die through hunting. Now, there's a few things I think we need to see in action. Number one, how is this going to work? Like, is it going to be based on the fenced enclosure that you build? Is it based on the enclosure? Because if that's so, in order to make a Site B, we're going to have to ring the whole map in fence. Secondly, are you going to be able to have multiple species in the hatchery? Because otherwise you're going to need a new hatchery for every different species you have in that area. Thirdly, how is this going to work with the way that animals are manufactured already? Like, because at the moment it's a two-step process that requires us to pick the animals that get produced. So are we still going to have to pick the animals that get produced? Or are we going to have to, like, give it some sort of... Like, is it just going to produce all of them, regardless of if they have negative or positive traits? Like, how is that aspect going to work of that two-step process that they've designed for this? And the final thing I'm curious about is, how is this actually going to cope? Because predators kill a lot. Like, there still seems to be this problem that predators will go on killing sprees, and they'll just kill all of the, like, they'll just kill loads of animals at once before they stop. They won't kill one animal then eat it. They'll like kill an animal and then go and kill another animal and then go and kill another animal, and then they'll stop and then they'll find something to eat. I think this automated hatcheries thing, I think I'm gonna might have to do a stream where we test it, see if we can actually like break it. Essentially, like we'll test the automated hatcheries to breaking point. But it's good, but I want to see it work. So that's, again, I'm not bad or good. It's good, but I want to see it actually working and see how it actually functions. Moving on, the decorations. So we know we're getting new ones. Let's start with looking at the screenshot that they showed off. New decorations are always good. Let's start over here first. This planter is not new, I don't think. Having looked at it again, I think this is the angled planter. I initially thought, where's the pen? I initially thought that this was a square planter, but actually looking at it again, I think it's that rectangular one which has like the weird sloped sides. I think they slope down, or like, no, I don't think that, you know what I think you can see there, that lip, and I think that's the bit that slopes, which I didn't see until I got this higher resolution image of it. So I think that's not new. Obviously what is new is this flower pot, and I think there's another design of flower pot there next to the bench. And obviously we have the benches from, and basically I just term it like the entrance, the Jurassic World entrance bench, because it's the same bench design from that, which has the like the metal sides and the wooden slats. We are also getting like a single bench form and picnic bench form of the DFW style benches. We're obviously getting the trash cans, the silver trash cans, and the green sort of recycling bin sort of ones. And then we're obviously getting the lounge chairs from the hotel. And if I had done that video, when the decorations video I did, what was it, 2 weeks ago, where I said Frontier should take these elements out of their other buildings and make it a free update. If I had done that, say, 3 months ago, I would have said, I bloody called it. But because I was late, or I made that video idea came to me only about 2 weeks ago, I can't take any credit for it. I am glad that they have done something that I thought they should have always done anyway. It's about the only thing I can say. Oh, Kairu, I wish we had a rest area like the JPOG one. In fact, Kairu, if you go back a few months and watch my If I Was a CEO of Frontier video, I actually suggest them adding that building in a DLC. And then we have 2 new designs of fountain that we can see. This one, which basically is a Spinosaurus fountain. And it looks, I think this is probably going to be similar in width to the Biosyn fountain. The Biosyn fountain is actually a little smaller in diameter than the big flower fountain that we have already. Like, the order in which it goes is the DNA one, the Biosyn one, the flower one. I think this Spinosaurus fountain looks to be a similar size to the Biosyn one, which is nice. Different size is good. And I think that this one in the back, I actually think is going to be the same size as the flower one, but it's going to have this tree in the middle with this raised section. And I assume the tree is going to change based on the map biome, like they all do. New fountain designs, really good to have. Again, I kind of wish that they would give us this Spinosaurus flower pot and this central raised flower pot as just separate entity planters to plant. I don't know about the rest of you, but I hate that all of the planters we have in game are just like this rectangle shape. Like, why do we not have any planters that are of a different shape? Because sometimes I don't want a fountain. Sometimes I just want like a round flower pot shape or a square one. Like, why are they all the rectangles? There you go, proof. Triclaw Gaming, Fletcher hates rectangles. There you go. you can take that away. But yeah, the fountains look pretty decent. This one also looks like it's not going to have any like because this one you can see it has like the water jets, but this one there are no water jets, so this one might just be like a static water feature, which would be quite nice to have actually, because you know it doesn't always have to be a show-off fountain. Like, something that's a bit static can be nice as well. Are there variations to the wood paneling? Not that we know of. And I think from what we've seen, we don't have any color difference, any different colors. So that is something that they don't do, which is funny because in Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, you can change the colors. Now, I'm sure people have seen this plenty, but it was new to me on Wednesday when I planned this stream. Friday when I planned this stream. So this was a video that they put on their Twitter and their Facebook of some of the new... I want to be able to play this video, but I want it to be silent. Can I change... I can't change the volume, I think. No, I can't. Well, in any case, so this was a video they put on their Twitter and their Facebook of some of the new decorations in action. So we can see here that we've got, after the Jurassic Park rock, we've got 9 new banner types. It looks like we've got 1, 2, 3. Where's that pen again? Let's switch the highlighter. Looks like we've got 1, 2, and 3 that look like they're based on the tall flag, like Pteranodon or Mosasaur one that we've had from the Jurassic World. And it looks like then we have what? These, all the rest just look like they're freestanding banners. So we got what, 3 flags and the rest as freestanding banners, and they're using the freestanding banners in this particular shot here. Now, people have said that the hitboxes have been removed, but I'm pretty sure that banners you could already put wherever you liked. So I don't think this shows proof of the hitboxes being removed. Proud to say I was the first person who spotted the clipping thing. It was with the fountains too. Well, that's the next one of this. I mean, I have to say, actually, let's zoom in a bit on this particular banner. It looks like we've got like a viewing dome with a T-Rex silhouette. So that's going to be kind of your viewing dome banner. Let's move on. So here is the benches, and we can see here again we've got what the two new types of bin, the wooden bench, the two DFW benches, the lounger. Nothing after that. So those are going to be the only additional decorations of this variety. And again, the bench is going wherever you like. That makes sense. Placing down the fountain. So there's the tree fountain. I don't see any clipping here, mini paleontologist. We can see there's the 3 fountain types, by the way. So we are definitely only getting those 3 fountain types as well. So we pretty much have been shown all of the decorations we're going to get, I think. Which is a bit disappointing. I would have liked a bit more than, what, 12? 15? Play the fountain clip in normal speed. Okay. Oh, I see. So you're saying... Oh, I see what you're saying. So when you place it down, it doesn't pop up. So you can see there's 2 over each other there. The superimposed nature. I mean, it's possible. But I honestly think that this is probably something that the dev build that they're using for this just probably allows. I think the dev build probably doesn't have clipping. The only reason I say it is because if you look at this image here, you can see that everything is like spaced out. Like everything is spaced pretty appropriately to hitboxes. Like the rocks are spaced, these are spaced, these lounge chairs are spaced. Like the trees are spaced. The flower pots are spaced away from the benches. Maybe clipping is less of a thing. I mean, I have also seen this happen myself when I've been playing without free build on, where you will place something down and for a split second it will bring up another and it will stay blue and then it will switch to red within like almost a second after. Or if you switch it off. And the fact that they go from like they put it down and then in less than a second they're off. I don't know, dude. Oh, the music stops. Let me put that back on. I think it's possible. Maybe I'm going to say that, maybe. Because, I mean, if, as he drags this along, it doesn't flicker red when it gets near that flower pot. Maybe he's too far away. But he doesn't even get a flicker of red. So it may be. See, there as well. I mean, he does get pretty close to that flower there.
By the way, is the interior of the room dark?
And, I mean, it's doing it with the banner there, actually. They properly go through that banner. You know, I'm not going to get my hopes up for people who don't play with mods, but maybe they are gonna. I don't think it's necessarily that. Yeah, let's be optimistic. If they do reduce the hitboxes, I don't think it'll be on everything. I think the hitboxes, if they're removing hitboxes, it will probably just be for decorations to make them easier to place. I don't think it will be on every building. So I think it won't be a pure no hitbox mode. But I definitely think there might be some evidence in this video that maybe they're not going to have hitboxes on those decorations. But like I said, equally, I think there's good possibility that it could just be the dev mode that they're using in game. Like, if I was making a publicity thing like this, I would probably use a version of the game that doesn't have collision detection on. Because the worst thing you want in your video is to have it flickering, you know, that red flickering and finding it actually difficult to place it down smoothly. Like, you want to be able to just, you know, take where's the flags. You want to be able to just select the flag and then, you know, demonstrate smoothly placing them down along this path. That's the shot you want for the publicity shot. You don't want to be like putting them down and then like, oh, it's flickering red, or you're too close and one of them fails to put down and you're messing around with it. I could also see it being a no collision mode of the dev mode of the game. We will just have to wait and see. Hopefully, but try not to get your hopes up. And that's what I always say. I think, if I'm going to speak generally about the community now, I think the Jurassic World Evolution 2 community gets way too hyped and way too sort of enamored with things they're definitely 100% sure of. When I make my videos on DLC stuff and on the game as a whole, I always try to verge on the side of caution. Like, try to be realistic in your hopes. That's what I did before the game even came out. And I have to say, I think it was the right course of action to take. But yeah, just generally, all these new decorations, like, I love having new decorations. It's really important to get new stuff to decorate the park. So if I'm gonna love having these new fountains, I'm gonna love having benches, like benches, for God's sake. Obviously, like, one thing that this particular picture just really does highlight, though, no one is using them. And I do hope that when we put down benches, I do hope the guests are going to sit on them. Because I do think it's one of the weird oddities about this game is that the way the guests work. Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, the guests were so much more interactive, and they would sit on, you know, they would walk around with their shopping bags or their umbrellas, and they would sit on the benches, and they would use they would visibly throw stuff in the trash cans and that. I hope there is some sort of interaction between the guests and the benches so that they can be seen to be using them. Because it's going to look a bit weird to have a whole park and you're going to have all these benches and stuff and guests not using them. I can see why the the sets of tables and chairs they don't interact with, because getting the guest to conform into like sitting on a proper chair under a table, pretty difficult. Whereas with a bench, they could just sit. It's a fairly easy thing to have them just animate to sit on a bench and then get up. So we'll see. It would be wild if they put benches in solely as a visual decoration and guests can't use them. Yeah, like if the benches don't help with your guests' transport rating or anything, if this is literally just a visual thing, it's almost as bad as kind of not having them. So let's hope they do sit on them. We will see. But in broad strokes, good to have any new decorations. Glad it's free. Glad they're not stuck behind a paywall for the DLC, etc. And yeah, I hope that perhaps they won't have hitboxes, but we'll have to see. Now, the last part I wanted to talk about is like the last part of my video, which again seemed to get quite a lot of hate. So the first thing, it's a disappointment that this is a dinosaur pack rather than an expansion. I think that's legitimate. We have just had an animal pack with the aquatic species, and Frontier have normally gone for a expansion dinosaur pack order. So for this to be the second dinosaur pack in a row, that is a bit disappointing. Now, this could be a side effect of what we know is happening. Frontier is financially not doing as well as hoped, and we also know they have fired a lot of people. That doesn't look good for any company. I think the thing they're going is to make expansions just for the movies. Yeah, but I don't see why, Barger. Like, they didn't do that with the first game. The expansion packs were just expansion packs, and it didn't matter about the movies. And if you think about, you say they're going to make expansions for the movies, plural, like the expansion packs we've had, the Biosim ones are just for Dominion. It's not like they were different movies, it's just Dominion that they've done as expansion packs. So if they're not doing expansion packs because no new movies have come out, they are making a massive error. So I do think if they added new species, they should coincide with the free update. For example, an omnivore pack coming with new feeder types. Yeah, like everyone was pretty convinced that this was going to be an expansion. I don't think anyone was convinced that this was going to be just a pack. I thought people were on the belief this was going to be an expansion and that possibly it would look at like carnivore feeding types. That seems to be, like, just looking at Reddit responses and stuff, that seems to be the general thought from most. Yeah, exactly, Gairu. Like, the Secrets of Doctor Who had nothing to do with the movie, and they did that for the first game. They could have done a Manticore expansion. Yeah, they could have done something based on the TV show. Like, but like I say, there is a possibility that the reason they haven't done an expansion is that the problems the company are facing right now, they're just too big of a problem. And that's completely legitimate, you know, a legitimate thing to have happened. Yeah. I do worry that this could potentially be the last DLC we get. So if this is the last DLC we're gonna get, I don't think it's quite the sort of thing the game should, like, bow out on. But we will only know that in well, I would reckon we will know that by January of next year. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that it's not going to be the last one we get. And I'm hoping that the next one we get is an expansion. If the next one is another creature pack, I would say if the next one is another creature pack, it's got to really be good. Or I think I'm going to be even more negative about it than I was with this one. They did the Camp Cretaceous pack too early, in my opinion. They could have done another expansion with all the seasons. Yeah, Diablo, you make a good point. Like, that Camp Cretaceous dinosaur pack seems like they could have probably released that as an expansion pack with loads of stuff if they had just waited for a bit. But again, maybe that's Universal telling them they weren't allowed to wait. We don't know. It would be very sad for the players and community if this was the last DLC. I agree with you, Untamable King. It really would, because it would be the game going out on a damp squib rather than a really big high note like the Return to Jurassic Park DLC was for the first game. There's so much potential for expansions. Yeah, I agree. Like, in fact, I don't even think the expansions have to be based on a movie. I think this is a problem the community keeps going on about, like, theming it to a movie. Why? Like, we need more building sets. It doesn't necessarily have to be based on a movie, or the TV show. I think we should be seeing sets based on, like, building parks in other areas of the planet. Like, imagine if they did a Japanese Jurassic World DLC where we got, like, a bunch of Japanese themed buildings and decorations and Japanese maps and Japanese dinosaurs. Like, that would be, because the one area, and I think I've mentioned this, well, I mentioned it here, you know, we have too many species already. We don't need more. We need the building sets, we need the attractions, we need the maps, we need the decorations. And something I think I'm going to end up terming, one of the terminologies I think I'm going to end up having is, this is not a dinosaur game. This is a park/zoo building game with dinosaurs in it. The principal purpose of Jurassic World Evolution 2 as a game is to build a zoo, facility, etc. And it just happens to be that the animals you're displaying happen to be dinosaurs. You could replace all of the dinosaurs with the same green goo blob walking around, essentially. Because it's the building part of the game, which is the bread and butter of the game. If you're playing something like The Isle or Path of Titans, obviously the dinosaurs are most important because that's what you're playing as. Your character in the game is a dinosaur. So the dinosaur and the species and adding more species to play as is the most important aspect of that game. But for Jurassic World Evolution 2, the building is the most important part of the game. So we need more added to the building side. Now, I appreciate that building... people buy the dinosaurs. They would probably prefer to sell the dinosaurs than sell the building sets and the decoration sets. But I legitimately think there is a market for this game for them to do DLCs where they're selling new attractions, selling new building sets, selling decoration packs for particular continental areas. I think you can make money from those things as well. Fletcher, I understand, but the main thing most people are buying the game for are the dinosaurs because they like the dinosaurs more than the modern animals, and if anything, people are intimidated by Prehistoric Kingdom. I mean, hello, Mega Lego Master. Good name. I love Lego myself. In fact, I desperately want the Lego Titanic, but it's way too expensive. Um, yes, I agree, Burger, and I'm saying that's why Frontier sell the dinosaur packs, because they know people will buy the dinosaur packs. However, I would argue, I'm going to have to be really, really careful on my wording here, and I think it leads into my third point here, that the pack is clearly aimed at the fanboys for a particular species, Camp Cretaceous, rather than giving us interesting animals. So, first of all, the word fanboys, some people have said that in the comment section I'm being rude. That's not what I mean. I'm a fanboy for Star Trek. Nerd Guy Productions, the moderator in chat, he's a fanboy for Marvel. I don't mean the word fanboy here in a negative connotation. What I mean here is very, very vocal, very passionate, very, interested fans. People who will go beyond and look at, expanded lore and canon and read all about it and stuff. That's what I mean by fanboys. People who are really properly invested. And the DLC pack, the dinosaurs, I think it is very clearly aimed at people who are very heavily invested in Camp Cretaceous and the people who really want the Utahraptor and Concavenator. And Frontier know that, and that's why they're putting them in that pack, because they know people are going to buy it for those species. But are the people buying it for those species, are they going to play the game for the next 6 months? And that's a legitimate... This is a legitimate question, just a theory that I have here. Who are the people that play the game the most and over the longest period of time? Who keeps the game active? Is it the people who just buy the dinosaur packs? Or is it the people that build the parks? Because I'm not entirely sure that the people who want the Tarbosaurus, for example, the Camp Cretaceous fan base, are they building parks, or are they just doing battle royales or not really? They're not people who are going to be bothered about the building side, which is, I think, a problem, because like I say, this game is a building game, not a dinosaur game, and the building side needs more support. Yes, I would say both of those are wrong. I'd say the modders are the main ones keeping the game alive. Well, yeah, that's the other problem. If you play on a PC, the only thing this is adding is the decorations. And I would say the decorations this is adding are not decorations that are particularly that vital to us. Modders, we can play with waterfalls. And someone has even has made a mod where you have like a glass window now, so you can make windowed enclosures. And the species, as Kairu says, the species they are adding are ones that are available in mods. So for PC players, this update doesn't really do much for us. Now, I know that it's not really fair to compare. Console players and people who don't mod the game are in... This is good for them to have more decorations to use, to have those species. It's good for them to have that. But again, the console players have a game full of restrictions. They can only have a maximum number of species in the park, a certain number of dinosaurs, etc, etc, etc. There are problems with how the game runs on the consoles. There are problems with how the game runs on a PC. I'm hoping this update is going to come with a bunch of bug fixes. Like, that's the other thing I want to have a look at when the update drops. I want to see all the bug fixes and everything, because I want to see some proper performance corrections. I want to see some proper bug fixing. Because there's a lot about just the basic elements of the game's performance that are shocking still. Like, really poor. Unfortunately, a console player said the game is dying for us right now. Yeah, but Untamable King, do you think 4 new dinosaurs is going to make the game alive again on a console for any length of time? That's a legitimate question. Like, do you think 4 new dinosaurs is going to bring the game back to life? Actually, let me see if I can grab the Steam charts. Let's actually see, in terms of Steam charts, how Jurassic World Evolution 2 is actually doing. Obviously, I can't Steam charts the consoles because I don't have access to that information. Okay, so let's print screen that and stretch this out to there. Copy. Right, so here is Steam charts. This is showing the this is showing the average number of players per month and the percentage gained and percentage so it's basically showing you the gain and the loss. So let's highlight a few things here. Oh god, no. Delete. Why are you not deleting? Thank you. Let's use highlighter. So this rise here, August 2023. What was this? This was the aquatic pack. Was it? I think it was, wasn't it? And then April 2023 here, this would have been... Oh, blimey, was April 2023? Was that the Malta DLC? April 2023? Ah, the Feathered DLC. And then December 2022, there's another update. And then this big gap here. This strikes me as weird. I'm sure there's another DLC between June 2022 and December 2022. What's missing here? Like something... I'm sure there's something in the middle here, but it's obviously not had any effect. But if you just look at what's happening to the numbers, so what's the peak numbers here? So June 2022, 6,866 peak players. And then within a month, let's change the color. Within a month, we've dropped down to 4,000. And then within another month, we're down to 2,000. And the average seems, you know, if you look at the peak players and you average it, around 2,500 seems to be normal. So, what, 2 months before it dropped again? And I'm pretty sure June 2022 was an expansion, wasn't it? June 2022. Yes, so June 2022 was the Biosyn expansion. So that was a proper big expansion. Then here, so November 2022. Look at the increase there. It was barely anything. But within a month, back up to around 4,000, 4,500. And then again by the month after, we've dropped. And within 2 months, we're back down to the same old 2 and a bit. And it's the same sort of pattern, isn't it? It's like, it boosts it a little bit, but it doesn't take long to... I mean, this one here, look at this. April 2023, big rise of 116%, and then it fell all the way back down, to about 2,500. So this is just the PC players uncooked. I don't have access to the console players. But if this is anything to go by, it does seem that the big DLC, the big expansions, like the June 2022 one, it did lead to a much bigger boost than, say, the Dinosaur packs. June 2022, big expansion, 170% increase. August 2022, July 2023, the Aquatic Animal Pack, 35% increase. The DLC boosts the game, although so far this DLC isn't doing it at all, meaning it's very likely that Frontier is going to think the game is no longer making them money, so they discontinue it. I mean, the thing that's on my mind about this DLC is, will it be something that people who have left the game, say you haven't played since July 2023, say you haven't played the game for 6 months, is this DLC and update going to bring you back for a long period of time? Don't think it will. I reckon the percentage gain from this DLC will probably be more than 100%, because a lot of fans are after these species. But I think it's going to be like this April 2023 update. You'll have really good numbers for 1 month, and then they'll drop like a stone the next month. Because the update does nothing to change the basic running of the game. So people who find building parks boring, people who find building parks difficult, who don't really play sandbox, who just play challenge modes and chaos theory modes, they're not getting anything from this, so they're going to lose interest very fast. And like Barger has said, like, they'll only continue supporting a game that's clearly getting people interested in it and making them money, and I don't think it's a very good look. But again, this is just all me hypothesizing and trying to explain, because I got so much hate for that video I did on Thursday. I'm trying to explain what I mean here by, I don't think this is a good DLC for the game. I think it's a good DLC if you like those species. I don't think it's a bad DLC. I just don't think it's what the game needs. The game needs the buildings. The game needs the maps. More than it needs dinosaurs. And if I offended anybody with the video I made on Thursday, obviously I apologise, so I don't want to offend anybody. And I know I have this reputation as being quite pessimistic and quite negative, which I hold my hands up and say, you know, I am an individual who will often look on the bad side of stuff. That's just the sort of person I am, unfortunately. But when it comes to Jurassic World Evolution 2, I kind of like being the one who looks more from a glass half full, than a glass half empty. And the only reason I say that is because I remember when the game was being made. I remember when the game was due to come out, and loads of people were hyped for the game, and like we were all like, there was so much hype. And just in my little group of people I knew, I was pretty much the only one that was being like, well, I can see some problems here. Like, there's copy and paste animations going, and there's a lot of copy and pasting of assets here. And let's not forget how Jurassic World Evolution 1 launched, with all the problems and the bugs and the glitches. And I think a lot of people didn't like me saying that sort of stuff at the time. And then Jurassic World Evolution 2 came out, and the campaign was terrible, and they were full of bugs, and it was full of glitches, and it was full of performance problems. A lot of performance problems it still has. And I think what that has taught me is that if I'm the only one in the community willing to say, actually, let's be a little less hypey and a bit more critical, then I take that as a medal of honor, frankly. I would rather be critical and say what I think than over-hype something. One of the reasons I don't particularly like a particular YouTuber, who I won't mention here, was because I watched all of their content for Jurassic World Evolution 1, and their hype for it got me really hyped for it. And I watched their review of the game when it came out, and I was even more hyped for it because they had early access for Jurassic World Evolution 1, and I was really hyped for it because they said loads of positive stuff. And then when I brought Jurassic World Evolution 1, I was like, well, hang on, there's so many problems with here. Like, there's so much missing from this. There's so much that was left hidden. And I felt that was disingenuous of that particular YouTuber, who I shall not mention, to represent a product in a disingenuous way. So when I started YouTube, I made it very clear to myself that I will always speak honestly about what I think. I'm never going to sugarcoat anything. Now, that probably means I will never, ever get early access to anything from any game company ever, because I'm too honest about stuff. But I would rather be honest in what my opinion is than be fake or false, and people, get the wrong idea. So, people don't like me being negative. Oh well. I would rather be overly negative than overly positive. But in general, just going off based what how the chat has been today, like, I've had it's been very active. We've had a lot of viewers here. All I would say is I've appreciate everyone listening to each other, being fairly fair. We've all had a good discussion, I think. And something I would point out is I don't think anyone listening in chat today, I don't think anyone has kind of been hyper against what I've said. Having had the ability to communicate properly what I meant in that video I made on Thursday, I think it's a lot clearer now as to some of the criticisms I made in that video. But again, I don't think this is a bad DLC by any regards. I think it's a DLC made to make money, and I think it's a DLC that will make particular fans very happy, and I think it's going to do nothing for the game's long-term survival. I don't think it's a DLC the game needs. I would rather have any of the expansion packs that I came up with in my CEO. I still enjoy having these dinosaurs. I mean, I'm going to enjoy having Concavenator, obviously. I'm going to enjoy having Utahraptor. I'm already thinking of ideas of having like a Utahraptor, Pyroraptor exhibit. And having the Tarbosaurus, I'm already thinking of having like a theropod park and a raptor only park, because I think they'll be cool to have. And the Gigantoraptor, I'm already thinking of like using the Oviraptor as like a juvenile for the Gigantoraptor, or having Gigantoraptor with Therizinosaurus as well. I think those two will go quite well in a habitat. Also, I mean, obviously having 2 extra feathered dinosaurs, it makes having a feathered dinosaur park more you know, you got more species to have in a feathered dinosaur park. So once this DLC releases, I might actually make a feathered dinosaur only park. Feathered dinosaurs can make that all snow Nevada map at least be usable. Well, I don't use that map anyway, Andres. Or Andre. I actually loathe having no different like ground textures. I think the fact everything just looks white is just really dull. I kind of prefer the tiger biome, because at least then you can have snow, but you can also not have snow. But that's just strictly from a park building perspective. Honestly, I'm more interested in the update than the DLC. Yeah, for sure. I'm more interested about getting my hands and seeing these variants. Like, when the free update drops, when the DLC drops and the free update drops, I will probably do a stream that night. The first thing I'm going to go to is the species viewer to have a look at these guys. I want to see what their alternative skins look like. So I'm the free update stuff, obviously, as well as the decorations. This is all like really more important to me than the species are. Also, with Tarbo, Theri, Gigantoraptor, Gali, Velociraptor, and Dinocaris, you could make a park with only Mongolian dinosaurs. You could burger, but then if I did that, then I would be aware of the fact we don't have Protoceratops still, or Psittacosaurus still, and then that would make me sad. The fact that this game still doesn't have Protoceratops makes me really sad. Like, Protoceratops would be a perfect animal to have in this game, and we still don't have it, and that makes me sad. And honestly, there's a bunch of species that I really don't even use in most, if any, of my parks. See, yeah, that is a good point, Jared. Like, I think there are some species I legitimately have never used in a sandbox park. I don't think I've ever used a Carcharodontosaurus in a park. Just thinking about it. I mean, I know I haven't used Scorpius Rex. So, another 4 species on top of that. Like, will I use Concavinator instead of Metriacanthosaurus? Depending on the skins, probably not. Will I use it instead of Majungasaurus? Yes, but then I don't use Majungasaurus that often. Will I use Utahraptor instead of Pyroraptor? Potentially, but Pyroraptor's skins are really nice and really decorative, so not necessarily. Will I use Tarbosaurus instead of T-Rex? Never. Would I use Tarbosaurus instead of Acrocanthosaurus? Maybe based on the skins, we'll see, but probably not. We still don't have Plateosaurus. I know, another big Triassic period dinosaur. Like, can we all agree that the Scorpius Rex has a face that not even a mother could love? Yeah, when I first saw the Scorpius Rex, because obviously I never watched Camp Cretaceous, so the first time I saw it was with the DLC. Hello, Spark the Rex. And I've always thought the Scorpius Rex looked like an Indominus Rex that's just simply run into a wall too hard. It just looks like a pug. It is a pug. Like, you know how pug dogs have that really squished up face? Where it just looks like you've taken a normal dog and compressed its head? Like, That's what the Scorpius Rex looks like to me. It's a normal dinosaur that you've pugified. And I can't stand pugs. I think they're the ugliest things. I think they're the ugliest dogs. So for me, Scorpius Rex, definitely a face not even a mother could love. I don't even think a mother-in-law could love as that face. The Scorpius Rex is everything wrong with the current era of Jurassic. Ooh, I really like that idea actually, mini paleontologist, because I think what I'm gonna do for the 2000 sub special is me and Nerd Guy. I think we're gonna do our retrospective review of Jurassic World Dominion live. That might be an interesting question we can have in that stream. Is like, what do we think of this era of Jurassic content as a whole? So yeah, I'll try and remember that for the live Jurassic World Dominion retrospective review. And if you haven't seen the other 2 parts of the retrospective reviews that me and Nerd Guy Productions have done on Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, I suggest you go and give them a watch. They are quite long videos, but it's just us talking, so you can put them on in the background while you're doing anything else, and you can just listen to us talking about both of those movies. It must have been pretty lonely at its high school reunion. Oh, Untamable King, that's so cruel. Oh my lord, that is... I almost feel bad for it now. I don't. Almost, but yeah, probably was. You almost direct dinosaur questions to him, though I'm the film guy. Yeah, Nerd. So when we do that live Dominion look, Nerd Guy is the film buff. He studied it at university. I'm going to be the dino buff. So divide your questions between the both of us. Do you think things like fighting sauropods and hadrosaurs are needed? This will be the last question I answer, by the way, since we are coming up to 11. I think sauropods should be able to fight back. I think the idea that they're kind of not capable of fighting back is ridiculous. We know that these are massive animals, and I don't know if anyone has seen like a giraffe or an elephant like fighting against tigers and stuff, but big animals are more than capable of doing more to defend themselves than just running away. So I definitely think sauropods fighting back, definitely needed. When it comes to hadrosaurs, strictly from a paleontology perspective, most hadrosaurs did not have weapons and were the same size as their carnivorous hunters. I think hadrosaurs are more likely the animals that would run away from a fight and just try to out-stamina something hunting them. The problem with Jurassic World Evolution 2 is that the way that the animation system works, and you can see it if you watch the dinosaurs for any length of time, you can watch them pop into place where the animation loop is prepared to start. There is no actual chase involved. What you get is Dinosaur A is in position for Dinosaur B, and then the animation loop of Dinosaur B chasing, catching, killing the animal will play. It's not a natural hunt, chase, kill scenario. So unfortunately, the hadrosaurs don't really get a chance to run away properly. But fighting sauropods, definitely something we need. And I do agree that Gigantoraptor would be a really good animal to have as the biggest hadrosaurid species that has ever existed, as much as we know. But yeah, so I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Today's been really active and a lot of viewers and likes and stuff. So that I want to thank you all for tuning into what is a very let me just stop the music so I can say thank you. Yeah, what is quite a different, fairly boring stream compared to, say, Evo playing the Isle or me playing Jurassic World. So I appreciate everyone coming to join the stream and listen to me talk, basically, and getting involved in the discussion, because as a history teacher, I love debate. I love discussion. Like, I thrive off it. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in and making this stream a success. But next week we'll obviously be back to the usual stuff, so there'll be normal game streams and game videos next week. I'm aware I'm still yet to make a War Thunder video, so next week that is literally the only thing I want to get out is the War Thunder video. And obviously on what date is the 30th actually? Do we is it Wednesday, Thursday? Thursday is the 30th. Okay, so there'll probably be a stream live on Thursday night, starting at the same time, 9 o'clock British time, looking at the new content in the dinosaurs, and we'll get to grips with it and see if my opinion on any of those animals changes at all. So do join me for that on Thursday. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evenings wherever you are. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, like the stream if you haven't already, and I'll see you on Thursday. Until then, stay safe and good night.